my mom had this app and where you can look at a lot of activities happening around Mumbai. So then she found Toon Club and she found it interesting. So last time we actually found on the first day Toon Club was going to start. So then we got an afternoon batch. I started this year. I actually did the summer program as well. Today we learned about silhouette animation. It's inspired by the artist Lottie Renegar. She used to make films and she was the one who made the first feature film. So then inside we were making our silhouette films on creepy crawlies like insects.
We do a lot of different exercises with the kids. Right from, so we start off with a simple growing dot. When children start off with animation, the first exercise that they do is a simple growing dot. Then they move on to doing a dancing line exercise, which we do and a disappearing drawing. So they take a drawing and they make it slowly disappear. But they have to ensure that the shape remains the same. So let's say they take a fish and frame by frame they kind of take one small part out of the fish and it eventually disappears. They have to ensure that they trace out correctly. So it helps their motor skills. It helps them to kind of trace and ensure that the shape and the size and the drawing remains the same. Then they do a dancing line on a flip book like this. So I tell them this is their character, a little line. And they have to kind of make it dance and do funny things, but they have to maintain the length of their character. That's the line. And then of course they learn ease in, ease out on a flip book like this. So ease in, ease out is one of the principles of animation, or slow in, slow out as they call it. It's one of the principles of animation. So they do use a flip book like this and they do a pendulum exercise over here. Here this circle over here is the size of the circle that they have to maintain throughout. So this is kind of a reference that is given to them. So they learn to see and draw and replicate that drawing and the size, and they maintain the size, the volume. Another exercise that they learn is the wave principle, the drag and snap principle of animation. So this is something that is done by a child. Once they learn, this is how we try and simplify it for the kids and teach them the little complex principles of animation with simple circles and lines. And yeah, so that's, and of course this is a zoetrope. So this is a template that we give the kids, something like this, in which the child has to kind of bend the dotted lines. So you bend on the dotted lines and you slowly kind of bend it and eventually you get something like this. It's a zoetrope and we give them a pencil that is kind of stuck over here, and the child kind of spins it around and it looks like there's a movement. So I could show you that. And this is of course a phenakistoscope. Of course this has to be seen through a mirror, and when it spins it looks like there's some animation. So there are two animations happening here. And then on the back side, so this is something that we give the kids. On the back side children have to make their own. Similarly over here, this is something that has already been given to the kids, and then we give them little strips of paper like this, and the child makes his or her own animation. So this is a thaumatrope, this is a phenakistoscope. So this thaumatrope was invented in 1825, 75 years before the first cartoon film was made. So when they watch this film, when they make this, they also watch the first cartoon film made, which was made in the year 1900. That is called the Enchanted Drawing. So they create this. This is the first one, which was made in 1825. Then this was made in 1832. This is a phenakistoscope. So all these were made in the 1800s, before the first cartoon film was made. So they understand how it has evolved over the years. The reaction that I get from kids when they make these things. This is one reaction that I've got from all kids. Every batch, every session that I've had, and I had kids making these things. They say, "Oh, it's magic." My journey started actually when my son was 5. Now, of course, he's grown up, and he was someone who needed to be, quite an energetic child. So always had to be creatively channelized and given different activities. So I used to do different things with him, and one of the things one day I just picked up and I said, "Chalo, let's do flip books," which is 5. So he started and he did a fairly good job, and that's when it struck me that children can do animation. That's when the idea of kind of teaching animation to kids came about. And of course I didn't just start off. I did a lot of research, and I figured that internationally there's a lot of work being done with kids, which is not happening here in India. And there's some amazing work. So then I worked on, developed a curriculum, and I started my first batch of kids was in October, that was the Diwali vacation, October 2003. And that was the first batch of kids. And when it was announced, I was amazed at the response, because I had like that particular year I got, I don't know how many, 27-30 kids. So I had 3 batches, and and it was amazing because the kind of stuff that was created, some of them I still remember, and the films that were made in the first batch of kids, some of them were super talented. The animation is such a monotonous, boring process where they have to draw frame by frame, or they have to move things frame by frame. But somehow they enjoy it, and they enjoy themselves here, and that's what I ensure, that they come here and they have a lot of fun. And while they're having their fun, they're making films and they're doing their work, and that's they're producing the results. So that's important. So right from hand drawn, that is, we have animation light tables, small ones for kids, to a lot of stop motion. So they do mastic animation, they do pixelation, they do speed animation, cutout, the whole range of stop motion films, and and rotoscopy. They do lip syncing. I mean these are the different techniques that they do. When we are kind of doing stop motion, we see how the frames are captured onto the computer, but I keep them away from computers. I do suggest apps that they can download on the iPads, but they play around with that at home. So that's the digital aspect which I keep out of the whole thing. They're learning the art and the principles of animation here. I take very small group of kids. I don't take too many kids at a time. I have like a batch of 4 to 6 kids, and I kind of restrict it to that. In the summer vacation, I have a batch of 10. But usually I don't take too many kids, because then it's animation and I have to keep a track of what each child is doing, and it's a frame by frame process. So there's only that much I can handle at a time. So I don't take, it's not like one of those classes where there are hundreds of kids coming in. There's a lot of work that goes before and after the class. So there's only like the films that are, if they're doing a hand drawn animation film, so of course they're drawing on paper frame by frame. So if each child makes 30-40 frames, all that has to be scanned, compiled, So it's very difficult to have too many kids. I just have the weekend Saturday batch. I have 2 batches on Saturdays, and during the week I do visit schools. So I work with American school like École Mondiale. Whichever school requires my services, I go there as a visiting faculty. I teach different programs there depending on what their requirement is. With École Mondiale, they wanted it as part of their school curriculum. So animation, the Toon Club program was taken as a part of the art unit. So they have 3 art units in a year. So 1 art unit was handled by Toon Club. So it was made compulsory for all the kids in the school. But with American school, they do it during their vacation. So they have during summer, or they have autumn, winter, whenever they have their breaks, that's when they keep it as an activity which is optional. But their response is good, because what I see is, a lot of people don't know what it is, but once they come to know, I think the response, it only gets better, because it's getting, people are talking about it, and it's like a word of mouth publicity that is going. More and more people are registering for it. So that only shows that there are people who are going out telling their friends, and more people are coming in. So that is working. Parents are receptive to something. It's a unique art form. It's not something that is seen or done otherwise. So I think people are fascinated and they are happy. I'm not a trained teacher as such, but yes, I have taught in Ecole. There was a program where they invited teachers, art teachers from not only India, but there were some international teachers that came in, and they had a program where they wanted me to kind of train the teachers or at least introduce them to the concept of animation so that they can go back and use it in their, in their schools, and find ways to kind of use it as a way to teach children and as an educational tool. Recently they won at Anifest, two films, that is Razor Dude and The Coolest Magician, won awards there. Then we have one at, there's this lovely film, actually one of my favorites, personal favorites, called Children of the World, which is a film on child rights. And that film won at WAFI, Croatia. And that film has also become a part of the educational kit that goes to every child studying in a Croatian school. So it goes as a part of their educational kit. So they've been selected in a lot of festivals, and they have some films have won awards. So yeah, the children are happy and they feel their work is being appreciated, and they get encouraged and motivated to do.